Hello, everybody. Good morning, all of you. So we'll start with our code today. So it says, success is not counted by how high you have climbed, but by how many people you brought with you. So that is very important. So whether a person is successful or not, people say it is based on how many people you made happy. It is not how much you have earned. The earning is others' hearts. Earning is there, but earning is not money or material things. The more number of hearts you earn, the more amount of love you get from others, the more successful you are. So that is the way success can be measured. Not by, that's why you cannot say that Bill Gates is successful or somebody is successful. So it's not the money that counts. It is how many hearts they gained. Okay. And today is the birthday of Ludwig Prandtl, the great guy, right? So because of whom we had such a growth in the fluid mechanics and all. So we have discussed about it. So when there is hydrodynamics and hydraulics separately growing, he brought them together and he made this fluid mechanics, right? Because of his boundary layer theory. So he could get the theory and practice or experiments together, right? And he is considered to be father of fluid mechanics. So he's a German physicist who is remembered for his studies of both aerodynamics and hydrodynamics. He established the existence of boundary layer adjoining the surface of a solid over which a fluid flows. To design of an efficient shape, weight, and mass for ships and aircrafts owes much to his work. Because of him, all these things happened, for which he is considered to be the father of aerodynamics. He made major studies on the effects of streamlining and properties of aircraft wings. He made improvements to such constructions as wind tunnels. The Prandtl number is a dimensionless group used in the study of convection. The von-Karman-Prandtl equation describes the logarithmic variation of water velocity within a channel from zero flow at the stream bed to a maximum velocity at the water surface. Okay, it's a great contribution and a great revolutionary thing he brought into the fluid mechanics. And there is another great guy. He is scientist. The another person I wanted to share is Bharat Ratna Bhimsen Joshi. So he got Bharat Ratna in music, right? He received the Bharat Ratna, India's highest civilian honor, in 2009. He is also known as the god of singing or god of music. Okay, so such is the way, such is the respect people have given to him. And so he says, the world is the court of God. The criminal is God. The punisher is God. Man serves the sentence. He says like that. Okay, what he is playing and we are the pawns in his hand. He says that. Okay, he was an Indian vocalist from Karnataka in the Hindustan classical tradition. He is known for the Khayal form of singing as well as for his popular rendition of devotional music, bhajans and dabhangs. No other singer in India has given so many concerts as him. He was instrumental in organizing the Savai Gandharva Music Festival annually. He was awarded the Sangeet Natak Academy Fellowship, the highest honor conferred by Sangeet Natak Academy, India's National Academy for Music, Dance and Drama. So he's a great personality who was born today. Okay, today we discuss about some basics of turbomachinery. These are very, very important. Okay, if you understand these basics, you will feel very comfortable with any turbomachinery, either compressors or turbines. And I hope I will make you feel comfortable, because whenever I ask somebody whether turbomachinery is easy or tough, people say it is a tough subject. So only because the complete turbomachinery moves around velocity triangles. And people get confused about the velocity triangles. If velocity triangles are clear, there will not be any confusion. It is a very, very simple subject. And it's a Even velocity triangles concept also is very, very simple. I will try to make it so simple that you feel comfortable. So if you just attentive in this class, and if there is any doubt, you interact with me, right? Okay, in the last class, we have discussed about mixing of hot and cold streams in the turbofan and optimization of turbofan cycle. We have seen what are all the four parameters: overall pressure ratio, fan pressure ratio, bypass ratio, turbine inlet temperature, and what are the interlinking of them and how to optimize them. We have seen various graphs and plots of the characteristics. And then various turbofan configurations we have seen: twin spool, three spool, and with gear fan and aft fan and all those things. Then we have seen how turboprop works, turbo shaft works. And then we have discussed about thrust augmentation techniques. When do you need thrust augmentation? It is like during takeoff, during climb, during acceleration, like that, during maneuvering. I need additional power. So, the thrust augmentation is achieved by fluid injection and afterburning. So, fluid injection can be done at the inlet of the compressor or in the combustion chamber, either water or water plus methanol mixture, to increase the network or the jet thrust or on the mass flow to increase the more thrust whenever it needs. And afterburning, it is like tailpipe burning or jet pipe burning, and it is called as actually turbo ramjet. So we can burn fuel because air fuel ratios are high. It will have still unused oxygen, which can be used by burning more fuel there. So if you burn more fuel, the advantage of burning more fuel after the turbine is I don't have metallurgical limit. I can go up to 2000 Kelvin so that I can have large enthalpy, which can be converted into kinetic energy and jet velocity and thrust. Okay, so those are the things we have discussed, and then we have seen what are the aircraft maneuvering, the controls. So we have seen that there are three types of rotations normally we'll have: yawing, pitching, and rolling. And ailerons are there, which are the controls for rolling, and rudder is there for the control of yawing, and elevator is there for pitching for takeoff and landing. And then we have seen some videos on turbofan, centrifugal compressor, and flight controls. Okay, so these are the things last class we have done. And okay. Today we will see some basics of turbomachinery. Okay, so we assume there is a rotor on a shaft which is rotating like this, and maybe this is hub part, and here there is blade, or this, here there is a blade, so it is rotating. And so some fluid is coming and entering, and it may be leaving in some other direction, some way. Okay, so we have some notation. Okay, we will follow one particular notation which is used by Sarvanamuthu, but the notation varies from textbook to textbook. So yeah, if you take some notation will be there, some Indian edition, some other thing you take another notation, Ganesan another notation. Notation will be a little bit variation will be there. So that's why whenever you see another book, you have to be careful about the notation. But otherwise, the concepts are same in every book. So we follow a particular textbook notation because we are following Sarvanamuthu, we follow that particular notation. Okay, so we take absolute velocity of the fluid. We take it as C. This is the absolute velocity of the fluid. And the blade is rotating. So U is called as the blade velocity. This is normally same in all books. U is given as the blade velocity. So the U varies with the radius, because U is equal to pi dn by 60, where n is RPM, U in meters per second. Let's see specific velocity. Okay, if n is the RPM, the blade velocity is pi dn by 60, and d varies. This is called as hub, and this is called as tip. Okay, so from hub to tip, u varies. Okay, that is one thing. And so fluid is coming with some velocity, absolute velocity, but this itself is rotating with the blade velocity. So the velocity at which it faces the fluid is called as the relative velocity, and relative velocity is given as v. Relative velocity of the fluid. Okay, so in many books, v will be absolute velocity and w will be relative velocity. Or sometimes v will be absolute velocity, vr will be relative velocity. Something like that varies from book to book. So here we take c as the absolute velocity, v as the relative velocity, and u as the blade velocity. And how these three are related. Okay, so this I told you already. V plus u equal to c. This is the way. So if you want to, okay, just demonstrate me or something like that. Suppose if you are going with some velocity 100 kmph. Okay, this is your velocity, means you are like a blade. So the blade velocity, this is u, right? U is 100 kmph. And this side is positive and this side is negative. Okay, suppose now another person is traveling this way by 50 kmph. Okay, so what is this velocity? It is the absolute, it is like fluid. Okay, another another person is going by the side of me, okay, or opposite in whichever way, somebody else. So it is the fluid velocity like thing. So this is absolute velocity. And I told you v plus u equal to c. I am not writing like vectorial addition. If all are in the same direction, okay, are opposite or are linear, right? Then I need not put the vectorial addition. V plus u equal to c. And so now I want relative velocity. I want the velocity of the other fellow with respect to me. So can you tell me what is that by without seeing the equation? What is the relative velocity?
50 kilometer per hour.
50 kilometers.
Positive or negative?
Positive.
Positive.
Negative. With respect to C.
Negative, because you are going fast, you will feel that that fellow is going back. Am I right or not? So V equal to minus 50. But if you use this formula, what will you get? V equal to C minus U. So 50 minus 100. So is equal to minus 50. You will get like this. And suppose he is coming like this by 50 kmph. And what is C now? C is equal to minus 50 kmph. Right? Because it is going in the negative direction. Now, if I want V, how much it should come?
Minus 150.
Minus 150 should come. So here, V is equal to C minus U. C is equal to minus 50, U is minus 100. So it is minus 150. Is it okay? This is working, right? So this formula you have to remember. V plus U equal to C. This is very, very important. Okay. Okay, this main formula you have to remember. Okay, the next thing is C and V will have three components. Okay, so because any velocity it is going, you can resolve it into three mutually perpendicular components. So whichever way if you can take x, y, z, Okay, so Cx, Cy, Cz, three components will be there. Like in CMTE, we have taken V as the velocity. So U, V, W are three components in mutually perpendicular directions. So in this way, and C and V are arbitrary directions. So it can be resolved into three mutually perpendicular directions. It can be X, Y, Z or other three mutually perpendicular directions. So here we take three directions like this. Okay, one is axial component. So for C, it is CA. For V, it is VA. And another is radial component. Radial direction. One is axial direction. Another is radial direction. CR, VR. And what is the third one?
Tangential.
Yeah, very good. Tangential direction. And how we name it? Actually, some books, it names it as theta suffix. Some books give T as the suffix, but we use W as the suffix. That is called as will component. So this is given as CW and VW are the components. And U, okay, U is in which direction? Is it in axial direction, radial direction, or tangential direction?
Tangential.
It is tangential. It will not have components in axial and radial direction because it's basically in tangential direction. A velocity U, suppose it is going in X direction, it is only U only. It will not have V component and W component. In the same way, because it is rotating in tangential direction, it will be in tangential direction only. So U, CW, VW all are in tangential direction. CR, VR radial direction, CA, VA axial direction. So these are the different components. Okay. Now the forces. Now it is just entering and leaving in some directions. So here inlet, I take it as 1, exit as 2. So here I will have absolute velocity. If it is going like this, I will have CA1, CR1, CW1 are the absolute velocity components. Similarly, CA2, CR2, CW2 are the absolute velocity components at the exit. Okay. And why there is a force on the impeller? Whenever there is a change in the momentum, right, there will be force in that direction. Okay, so there will be force in the axial direction. This is axial force is equal to the change in momentum. M dot is the mass flow. Then CA1 minus CA2. If there is a change in the axial component, there will be force in the axial direction. Am I clear or not?
Yes,
These
sir.
are newtons. So because of the axial force, what it will try to do is, it will try to push the impeller this side or this side in the axial direction because of the change in the axial velocity. And this I have to take care of, otherwise it will just go like that or this way. And I have to use some way to restrict it. So this is taken care of by thrust bearings. And this is not useful at all for the rotation, right? It just tries to move it this way or this way. And so this is to be taken care of by thrust bearings. And then if I take radial force, this is equal to m dot into CR1 minus CR2 newtons. So due to radial force, what it will try to do? It will try to go up or down. Okay, so that is to be taken care of by, and this is also not useful for rotation. So this is to be taken care of by roller bearings or ball bearings. Is it clear? So now coming to the tangential force. Okay, so FW. is equal to m dot into CW1 minus CW2. This tangential component, it tries to make it rotate. So this is useful for rotation. I don't want to restrict it. I want to rotate it, make it rotate. So this is used for rotation. And once it rotates, so there will be some torque. So what is torque? Okay, first I will write radial force or Fw. I will put like the tangential force Fw is equal to. Now torque is equal to force into radius, right? And so torque is equal to Fw into R. But it may enter at some radius and leave at some radius. So it may enter at R1 radius and leave at R2 radius. So I will write this as m dot into R1 CW1 minus R2 CW2, where R1 and R2 radii at inlet and exit, at which the fluid enters and leaves. Okay, so this is the way we get the torque. These are Newton meters. This is Newton Newton meters. Now torque is there. Then the power. How you get the power from the torque?
T into omega.
T into omega. What is omega?
Angular velocity.
2 pi n by
2 pi
2 pi n by 60. Okay, radians per second. So if I use this, P is equal to m dot omega R1 CW1 minus omega R2 CW. What is omega R1? Because 2 pi omega n by 60, this is U1, right? This is U1 and this is U2, right? So this will be m dot into U1 CW1 minus U2 CW2 kilowatts, watts or kilowatts. Okay, so this is an important equation. This is called as Euler's energy equation. So in the previous way, when Euler derived this, actually he has done this for the turbine. So he has named it as Euler's turbine equation. But later they found that it is useful for both turbine and compressor based on whether the power is positive or negative. Okay, if U1 CW1 is greater than U2 CW2, right? So P is greater than 0, positive. So this is for turbine. I have more energy is there and something is spent and it comes with less energy, and that is usually utilized as power, right? And so similarly, if U1 CW1 is less than U2 CW2, so that is P less than 0, this is compressor or pump. Okay, so this is the general Euler's energy equation, which is important. And later, people has found that it has some components of energy transfer. So before going to that, we will try to see how a velocity triangle look like. I will give you some general thing, right? So just to suppose I have a velocity triangle. A triangle is like this. And always, as I told, you remember this. Everything, this is important. Okay, always the base will be tangential. Base is tangential, right? So that gives the tangential direction. So U CW, VW will be in the tangential directions. And this is radial. Okay. So this is tangential and this is radial. Okay. And radial or axial. Like one thing important here, we are dealing with a 3D machine, of course, but the velocity triangles will be, triangles are 2D, right? But we are dealing with 2D. What has happened to 3D? Okay. So here the all compressors have axial inlet. Okay. So all compressors have axial inlet, whether it is axial compressor, centrifugal compressor, or mixed flow compressors, it enters axially. So radial component is negligible.
So what is the difference between CW and VW, sir? Can you tell me in the diagram?
What's that?
The difference between CW and VW.
Yeah,
Can you show me in the diagram, sir?
I didn't draw it. I will draw it. I will show CW, VW.
Yes, sir.
Okay, I have not completed the triangle. Just I am giving some concepts. Okay, all compressors have axial inlet. So the radial component is negligible. And suppose at exit, if I take axial compressor, exit is axial. So no radial component. And a centrifugal compressor, exit is radial. So no axial component. Okay, so I will have either axial component or radial component, but both will not be there. Okay, so whenever I draw a triangle, this vertical one, it is either radial or axial. And this one is tangential always. Okay, this is the way a triangle will be. The velocity triangle will be like this. Now, because U is tangential, the base is always U. The base is always U. And now I don't know whether it is inlet triangle, exit triangle. It depends on you choose. Okay, if it is inlet triangle, and you have to see which side is the impeller, whether an impeller can be this side or impeller can be this side. And the directions can be upward for these things or can be downward. Okay, it is your choice. Okay, so what I do is, okay, suppose I take this side as the impeller. So if I give like this, these two are inlets. Am I right? And one of it is V and another is C. And again, you choose direction U, whether it is rotating this way or this way. Okay, it is again your choice, right? So if I take this way, then U direction is this. If U direction is fixed, then I have to decide which is V and which is C based on this relation. Now tell me which is V and which is C.
So the right side one is V, sir. Left side one is C.
Yeah, because sum of this and this should be this. So this is U. So this should be V and this should be C. That decides which is V and this which is C. If I take U in the opposite direction this way, then the V and C gets interchanged. This equation should be satisfied always. And the impeller may be this side, then there will be downward arrows. Whatever way, it doesn't matter, but this should be satisfied. U should be horizontal right? It can be right, going to right or going to left, whichever way you like to choose. This equation is to be satisfied. You tell me whether the thing is right, okay, or not. Okay, if I assume this is the impeller, it will become exit triangle. If I think this is the impeller, it will become inlet triangle. The same triangle. Am I clear about it?
Yes, sir.
Because it is going like this, it is coming out of the lower impeller, or it is going into the upper impeller. So it will become inlet triangle to the upper one and exit triangle for the lower one. And if you are assuming rotating in this direction, you will be right side. If you are rotating this direction, you will be left side. Then V and C gets interchanged. That's all. There will not be anything. This is the way any triangle, whether it is inlet triangle or exit triangle, for a compressor or for a turbine, for centrifugal or axial, whatever it is. Okay, some more things I will tell you. Now, okay. Now, suppose this is this, and assume there is no radial component. Okay, axial component only is there. Either, as I told you, it can be either axial or radial component. So I will take this as CA or BA. Axial component or for absolute velocity and relative velocity will be same. And what about tangential component? This particular one will be VW and this particular one will be CW. Is it okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay, that is the way it will be. And one thing, I have given an acute triangle. It can be obtuse triangle also. But the same relations hold good. And remember some more things. For compressors and pumps, the velocity triangles are acute triangles. And for turbines, for steam and gas turbines, the velocity triangles are obtuse. Okay, mainly because the pressure ratios are small here, and here the pressure ratios are high. Okay, and here the deflection is less. Here the deflection is high. Deflection is large. That's why we will get obtuse triangles. But it doesn't matter, right, whether it is acute triangle or obtuse triangle. My relations will be same. Okay, there should not be any difference. Okay, now once we understand that, I will write the components of energy transfer. Okay, I will write the three components of energy transfer. So the Euler energy equation. Okay, I will write P is equal to m dot U1 CW1 minus U2 CW2 watts, or I can write in work as per unit power per unit mass flow. So U1 CW1 this is joule per kg or kilojoule per kg. Okay, U1 CW1 minus U2 CW2. This is as I told Euler's energy equation. Okay, here what I do is I take the triangle, general triangle. This is U. I take this one. Okay. Here, what I will do is I will write it as CA square is equal to from the left side triangle, there are two triangles, right? Small triangles. So from the left side triangle, I will write it as C square minus CW square. And from the right side triangle, I will write it as V square minus VW square. And this V square minus VW, I will write it as U minus CW whole square. So this is equal to V square minus U square minus CW square plus 2U CW, and here C square minus CW square. Here CW square get cancelled. So I will get 2U CW and I will take these to this side. So I will write this as UCW is equal to half into C square plus U square minus V square. Okay, so this is general UCW. And because I am interested in UCW, because I have U1CW1 and U2CW2. This is general relation. It is true for inlet and exit. So if it is at inlet, U1CW1 is equal to half into C1 square plus U1 square minus V1 square. And U2CW2 is equal to half into C2 square plus U2 square minus V2 square. And now if I take W, half into U1CW1 minus U2CW2, I will write it as C1 square minus C2 square plus U1 square minus U2 square minus V1 square minus V2 square. Okay, I will get like this. So these are called three components of energy transfer. There are three types of kinetic energy out there. Okay, and I will write that again here. Like this. Okay, and actually if you take first law equation and delta Q is equal to dH naught or dH plus D of KE. D of P I will neglect, so delta W. And there is no heat transfer. Okay, and so this is nothing but W is equal to change in enthalpy plus change in kinetic energy. Okay, this is the way. Or this can be written as dH naught or Cp into Cp dt naught or Cp into T01 minus T02. So like this I can write. So here this is change in kinetic energy, and so this represents change in enthalpy. Am I clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. And so here we define what is called as reaction. And before going to reaction, I will tell you every stage will have one rotor and one stator. One rotor and one stator. Okay, so together we call it as a stage. Okay, rotor, some part will be done and some additional part will be done in the stator, and together the required thing is achieved in the stage. Okay, and so here the reaction is defined as change in enthalpy across rotor by change in enthalpy across stage. Change in enthalpy across the stage. Change in enthalpy across the stage is nothing but this is the total work. This is the total work. So here, this is dH across rotor, and this whole thing is dH across the stage. The total change is the static enthalpy and dynamic enthalpy. Okay, so this is the total work, and delta H across rotor is only this. So this will be like half into U1 square minus U2 square plus V2 square minus V1 square by half into C1 square minus C2 square plus U1 square minus U2 square plus V2 square minus U2 square. Like this. This is reaction. But usually reaction is used in axial compressor. This reaction, the term, okay, sometimes in centrifugal compressor also, but this is mainly reaction term is used in axial compressor. In axial compressor, R1 equal to R2. It enters at the same radius and leaves at the same radius. Am I right?
Yes, sir.
So it enters U1 equal to U2 then. If U1 equal to U2, U1 square minus U2 square equal to 0. If it is not 0, then it is not axial, and this effect is called as centrifugal effect. This particular term, U1 square minus U2 square, is called as centrifugal effect. Okay?
Sir,
Yes.
why relative velocity is increasing, sir? In all cases, C1 is greater than C2, then U1 greater than U2.
No. I
What?
didn't tell anything like that.
Okay, sir. What about relative velocity? That at inlet it will be less
Which
compared
is
to.
which is more and which is less? I didn't talk anything about it.
Okay, sir.
Right? There are three components of energy transfer. Okay, and this component represents centrifugal effect. This exists only for centrifugal compressors, and this does not exist for axial compressors. Okay, so if I take axial compressors, then R is equal to, in the R relation, I will remove U1 square minus U2 square. Okay, and so R is equal to half into V2 square minus V1 square by half into C1 square minus C2 square plus V2 square minus V1 square. Okay, this is reaction for axial compressors. So if you see here, when will be reaction 1? Reaction equal to 1 when this is 0. When C1 equal to C2. Am I right?
Yes, sir.
So reaction is 100%. This is called as pure reaction. Pure reaction type. Okay. So if C1 equal to C2 and this is 0, then it is pure reaction. Yes.
Here we are talking about only rotor, no? Not about stator.
What is that?
So we are talking about only rotor.
Yeah,
No?
rotor only. We are talking about rotor only. whether it is reaction type rotor or impulse type rotor. So if it depends, actually, there is some change in the stator and some change in the rotor, right? So based on which is impulse and other will be reaction. If other is pure reaction, this is pure impulse, and otherwise both will be impulse reaction. We will discuss about that. Okay, we are talking about rotor now. Is it okay?
So, but that delta H is taken for whole stage, no, sir, in the reaction
Yeah,
denominator.
yeah. The total change in the enthalpy is the work, and change in the rotor by total change in the stage is R. So if R is equal to 0.5 for rotor, then 0.5 for the stator. If R is 0.3 for the rotor and 0.7 for the stator, total will be 1. Is it clear? There is some enthalpy change across the stage, and I will divide this into something in the rotor and something in the stator. The total change in the enthalpy is the work. Is it clear?
Okay, sir.
Okay,
Yeah.
so there is, if part of it in the rotor and part of it in the stator, the stator part can be more, rotor can be less, and stator can be less, and rotor can be more. Based on that, we call the reaction as 0.5, 0.3, 0.1, or anything like that. So here R equal to 1 means, okay, the complete change is occurring in the rotor. It is pure reaction type. Is it clear?
So what is the meaning of reactions? Physical
See,
meaning.
reaction 1 means, see, that is enthalpy change across the rotor by enthalpy change across the stage. If this is 1 means enthalpy across change across stage is equal to enthalpy change across rotor. So there is no change in the enthalpy across stator. Okay. So now the complete enthalpy change, if it occurs in the rotor, then it is called as reaction type rotor. So if C1 equal to C2, it is reaction type. But if C1 is not equal to C2, then it is not pure reaction, then some impulse effect is there. Okay, so C1 square minus C2 square represents impulse effect. If it exists, then it is there is some impulse type is there. If it doesn't exist, it is pure reaction type. So this presence of this indicates impulse effect. Is it okay?
Yes, sir.
Similarly, R equal to 0. When will be R equal to 0? When numerator is 0. When V1 equal to V2. So this is called as pure impulse type. Zero reaction, right? So if V1 equal to V2, there is no reaction at all. But if V2 square minus V1 square exists, there is reaction. And so this is called as reaction effect. This is called as reaction effect. Okay. So there are three effects. U1 square minus U2 square, that is centrifugal effect. C1 square minus C2 square, impulse effect. V1 square minus V2 square, reaction effect. Okay. So change in enthalpy, static enthalpy occurs because of reaction effect and centrifugal effect. This is change in kinetic energy. That is change in enthalpy. So total change in stagnation enthalpy will be there. Okay, so these are the three components of energy transfer are centrifugal effect, impulse effect, and reaction effect. Okay, so these things we have to a little bit clear. So why we call this as impulse, why we call that as reaction, we have to understand that. So always remember, that's why impulse means impulse rotor, no changing relative velocity. V1, V equal to constant. And so enthalpy is constant or pressure is constant across impulse rotor. So there will not be change in the pressure. All the change in the pressure occurs only in the stator. In impulse rotor, all pressure change occurs in the stator only. So if you take impulse turbine, okay, impulse turbine, all change in the pressure occurs only in the nozzle. Across the impulse turbine, there will not be any change in the relative velocity or pressure. Am I clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So this change in enthalpy, if all change in enthalpy occurs in the stator, right, then rotor will be impulse type. If all change occurs in the rotor, then stator will be impulse type and rotor will be reaction type. And if it occurs partly there and partly there here, then it is called impulse reaction type. Okay, so another important thing I will tell you. So here, impulse means V1 equal to V2. Okay, so here, actually, I think you heard about cascade. Do you know what is a cascade? This is 2D representation of
Series of blades.
3D rotor. 2D representation of 3D rotor. I have a rotor like this. Okay, so number of blades are kept on that way. Okay, and if it is a completely elastic rotor, if I cut it at the center and open it like this, okay, I will have a number of blades side by side. Am I clear about that? If I see from the top, I will see blades something like this. Side by side, I will see number of blades, a row of blades. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
So this is called as cascade. These are infinite row of blades. Here infinite, this is important. Suppose I have 25 blades on the rotor. Okay, so people think that if I draw 25 blades here, that should represent that. So the number of blades here should be equal to that. People think that is not right, because the blades arranged in circular way, it is like continuously it is there, and every blade will have one before that and one after that. Am I clear? If I have only 20 blades, and this last blade will not have one blade on the other side, and this last blade will not have one blade on the right side, then it will not represent a continuous row of blades. On a circle, it will be continuous. Every blade will have one before it, one after it. Am I clear or not?
Yes, sir.
That's why this is infinite row of blades is called as a cascade. Okay, so normally this is 2D representation of a rotor, 3D rotor. And always, okay, here only we draw the velocity triangles. Here we draw one velocity triangle. One we call it as exit triangle. One is inlet triangle. And always the direction of relative velocity, okay, if I draw the mean line, this is called as mean.
Sir?
Yes.
So sometimes we draw velocity triangle as one side upper, and sometimes we draw one side
Yeah. See, it is inlet triangle or exit triangle like that. So suppose this is the cascade, okay, which is this will become inlet triangle, this will become exit triangle. Am I right? And if this is inlet triangle, the arrows will be downward like this. If this is exit triangle, arrows will be like this because it is coming out. Am I clear? Okay, suppose it is going this way. It is entering this way and leaving this way. Then I have to have arrows this way and arrows this way. Is it clear? Okay, that's only decides. There should not be any confusion. Okay. Okay. And another thing, now this is the mean line, right? So
Like if I make the triangle with base above and the vertex below, sir.
what is that?
So if I make the triangle like base above and the vertex below, sir.
Yeah. You can draw like that. You can draw this way. Okay, you can draw this way. This will be tangential direction. This is axial direction, right? So this can be B and C. Okay. Anyway, you can draw, no problem at all. Okay, I have to satisfy these things. Base, tangential. The height, axial or radial. The other two are V and C. And those two should satisfy V plus U equal to C. Finish. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Okay. Now, the suppose this is entering this way and leaving this way. Always the direction of relative velocity should be equal to the tangent to the mean line, so that it enters without hitting the blade. It has to nicely slide over it. Am I clear?
Yes,
The
sir.
angle of the relative velocity should match with the slope of the tangent of the mean line at the inlet and exit. It will come out tangentially, it enters tangentially. Okay, that is, it should slide over this, it should not hit it. Okay,
So
so
it should be like a tangent to a mean line, or at the inlet it should be tangent, sir.
both at the inlet and exit, the inlet angle, if this is the angle, this is the inlet angle for the blade, and also relative velocity angle also should be same. It should come with the same direction. And here it should go in the same direction. If I draw the velocity triangle, this should be V. Well, if this is V, then it should be U, and then it should be C. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay, that is the way we have to decide. Okay, now if I take the two tangents like this, so this is relative velocity direction, and so this is coming out like this. If V1 equal to V2, okay, so the area or the width between the mean lines should not change. It should be uniform. It should not converge or diverge. If it is converging or diverging, it acts like a nozzle or a diffuser. So my width between the blades should not change. That these are, if it is impulse type, V1 equal to V2, so my width should be uniform. So then I should have symmetric blades or bucket type blades. So impulse blades are bucket type or symmetric type. Am I clear?
Yes, sir.
So this is important. If I show the cascade, you should be able to identify whether it is reaction type blade or impulse type blade. And also you should be able to identify whether it is compressor cascade or turbine cascade. I will tell you about that. Okay, impulse type is like this, but reaction type, how will it be? Reaction type V1 is different and V2. V1 is not equal to V2. Okay, so if it is a compressor, what should happen? Pressure is to increase, right? So relative velocity should decrease. If relative velocity has to decrease, the area should increase. It should act like a diffuser. Am I right? So if I take that, you have to draw the blades. The drawing of blades is a tricky thing, art. Okay, so how to draw it? I will tell you how to it. Okay? And here the relative velocity should increase. It should be less at the inlet, and so suppose the flow is like this. Okay. It will be something like this. So if I take the mean line, it will be like this. So the relative velocity entering will be in this way and leaving will be in this way. Okay. So if I draw the triangle, okay, this is V, and U should be same because it is entering and leaving at the same radius, right? For an axial compressor, U should be same, right? Am I right or not?
Yes, sir.
So here, if you see, it is coming with a low angle here. It is going with a high angle here. So V, this is V1, V2. So V is increasing or decreasing?
Decreasing.
Decreasing.
So this is a compressor cascade. So it has to turn like this. Okay, so how it turns, the inlet triangle and exit triangle should satisfy my requirements. So the width, okay, if this is the direction of the velocity, the area is this, normal to the velocity. And here the area is this, normal to the velocity. A should increase. It should be diverging. So that velocity will be, sorry, A is increasing here. A is increasing, so velocity is decreasing. That's why pressure will be increasing. This is compressor cascade. And I can draw in a different way. I can draw this way also. Yes.
So here the density factor will not come.
What is that?
So here the density factor will not come, sir.
Density.
Yes, sir. Density factor will not affect, sir.
Here we don't talk about density, but pressure is increasing means density will increase, temperature will increase. Okay. Across compressor, pressure increase, density increase, temperature increase, because it is getting compressed. Okay. So, but we are interested in mainly.
Is it possible to compress with the increasing area, sir?
Compressed with,
Increasing area, sir.
in centrifugal compressor it happens. This I am talking about axial here.
Yes, sir.
You will not have this cascade for centrifugal compressor. Am I right or not? Only for axial type, I open it like this, I will see infinite number of blades like that. Centrifugal compressor, it will not be like that. And I am talking about U1 equal to U2 equal to U, R1 equal to R2 equal to R, so that I am talking about axial things. Okay, next class I will talk about centrifugal things. But here you have to understand about the velocity triangles, the cascade, compressor cascade, turbine cascade, impulse cascade, reaction cascade, like that. Is it clear? Here, if the area is changing, it is reaction type. It's not impulse type. If it is bucket type or symmetric type of blades, it is impulse type. Okay, and this is compressor cascade. And as I told, the compressor cascade can be this way also. Only thing what I do is I have to enter with low angle and leave with higher angle here. Like this. So the blades can be going this way or going this way. Okay. And what about turbine? Just I will quickly tell about that. So turbine cascade means the pressure is decreasing, velocity increasing, So area should decrease. It should act like a nozzle. Okay, it is something like this. Like this. So if I take the mean line, it comes like this and it goes like this. Velocity entering will be like this, okay, at high angle, and leaving with right angle. So here the base, suppose this is the length of the base, and here also I will have the length of the base like this. And this is V1, and this is V2. Okay. And actually, so V plus U equal to C, it will become like this. And here also, because C, U is taken in this direction, so here, if you see V1 and V2, so V is increasing or decreasing?
Increasing.
V is increasing. So V is increasing, and because the area here, this one, area is decreasing. So pressure decrease, velocity increase. Okay. So this is the way you have to understand by seeing in which way it is entering and which way it is entering. Draw tangents at the entry and exit. You see how it is area is decreasing or increasing and velocity increasing or decreasing. Based on that, you have to tell it is turbine cascade or compressor cascade. So turbine cascade looks like this. So this thing, once you complete a turbo machine course or a gas turbine course, if somebody asks in a Viva, right, and show a cascade, which cascade it is, and whether it is impulse type or reaction type or compressor or turbine, or if you are asked to draw, you should be able to draw. Okay, so this is very important. Is everything clear till now? So reaction blades are aerofoil type. They are not symmetric. Okay, and so if I take impulse and reaction, these are symmetric blades, these are aerofoil type blades. So it is complex to design and expensive to manufacture. Right, and these are symmetric or bucket type. Here V1 equal to V2, right? So here V1 not equal to V2. I am not writing whether it is compressor or a cascade. So if it is one way while it's compressor, it is increasing or decreasing, it will be compressor or turbine, it will become. Okay. And another thing is reaction will have high efficiency, and here this has low efficiency. And if you draw the blade velocity and the efficiency, so this will become like impulse type. This will become reaction type. So the efficiency is higher for reaction. Not only that, at higher efficiency, at maximum efficiency, the curve is flat for reaction turbines. So you can see, even if there is a small change in the blade velocity, there will not be much change in the efficiency. But the impulse turbine, because it is more peaky here, there will be a little change in the blade velocity will bring large change in the efficiency. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So across impulse turbine, V is constant, P is constant, H is constant. Right? Here, V, P, H, where. Okay. So these are the things you have to remember. Here I am writing, though a reaction, it is like impulse reaction. I am not writing for pure reaction. Pure reaction normally we don't use. Okay, reaction means usually impulse reaction. So when you talk about steam turbines also, impulse turbine, it is D-level turbine, and reaction turbine, pure reaction is Hero's turbine, which we don't use. We use Parsons reaction turbine, where it is 50% reaction. Okay, the advantage of 50% reaction is, so what do you mean by 50% reaction? Reaction is delta H across rotor by delta H across rotor plus delta H across stator. Okay, so R is equal to 50% means delta H across stator is equal to delta H across rotor. Am I right?
Yes, sir.
So 50% here and 50% here. And because of this, both stator and rotor will have same blading. Same amount of diffusion in stator and rotor, or expansion, whatever it is. So we will have rotor and stator will have the same blading will be there. That is the advantage of 50% reaction. Otherwise, stator blades will be different, rotor blades will be different. I have to have a stock of both types of blades. If something gets damaged, I have to use them. But if I have 50% reaction, same type of blades will be there, and whichever gets damaged, I can replace them. Am I clear about it?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so I think these are the things just I wanted to share today. So next class we will start with centrifugal compressors. Any questions you can ask? Yeah,
Are there any criteria like this
Yeah.
much number of blades need to be present in an?
yeah. Then we go for the design thing later.
Okay.
Okay, when I talk about centrifugal compressor, axial compressor like that, we will talk about. Mhm. So shall we go for the story?
Yes, sir.
It's a nice, touching story. It is about a daddy, right? He was watering the plants in the posh gardens of an international school. Heat and dust didn't seem to affect him. So he's a very sincere worker, working very hard in the garden and with sincerity. And so somebody came, Gangadas, principal ma'am wants to see you right now. The last two words of the peon, that is right now, means he was in tension. Okay, the last two words of the peon has lots of emphasis on them, trying to make it sound like an urgency. Then he quickly got up, washed and wiped his hands, and headed towards the principal's chamber. The walk from the garden to office seemed never ending. His heart was almost jumping out of his chest because urgently a gardener is called means he didn't understand what mistake he has done. He was trying all the permutations and combinations, figuring out as to what has gone wrong and why she wants to see him urgently. He was a sincere worker and never shirked from his duties. Then knock knock. He knocked the door and, Madam, you called me? Come inside. The authoritative voice made him further nervous. She pointed out towards a paper kept on the table. Read this. But madam, I am an illiterate person. I cannot read English. Madam, please forgive me if I have done anything wrong. Give me another chance. I am forever indebted to you for allowing my daughter to study in this school free of cost. I could have never ever dreamt of such a life for my child. And he broke down almost trembling. Hold on. You assume a lot. We allowed your daughter because she is very bright, and you have been our sincere worker. Let me call a teacher in. She will read it out and translate it to you. This is written by your daughter, and I want you to read this. Soon enough, the teacher was called, and she started reading it, translating each line in Hindi. It read like this: Today, we are asked to write about Mother's Day. That daughter has written, I belong to a village in Bihar, a tiny village where medical and education still seem like a far fetched dream. Many women die every now and then while giving birth. My mother was one of them too. She could not even hold me in her arms. My father was the first person to hold me, or perhaps the only person. And everyone was sad, and I was a girl, and I had eaten up my mother, my own mother. That's what they thought. My dad was instantly asked to remarry, but he refused. My grandparents forced him by giving all logical, illogical, and emotional reasons, but he didn't budge. My grandparents wanted a grandson. They threatened him to remarry or else he will be disowned. He didn't think twice. He left everything, his acres of land, a good living, comfortable house, cattle, and everything that counts for a good lifestyle in a village. He came to this huge city with absolutely nothing but me in his arms. Life was tough. He worked hard day and night, raised me with tender love and utmost care. Now I understand why suddenly he developed a dislike for things that I would love to eat when there was only one piece left in the platter. He would say that he hates eating it, and I would finish it considering that he doesn't like it. But as I grew older, I realized the reason and what sacrifice is all about. He gave me the best possible comforts beyond his capacity. This school gave him a shelter, respect, and the biggest gift, an admission to his daughter. If love and care defines a mother, then my father fits in there. If compassion defines a mother, my father fits in well in that category too. If sacrifice defines a mother, my father dominates that category. So, in a nutshell, if a mother is made of love, care, sacrifice, and compassion, my father is the best mother on earth then. He took the paper from teacher's hands, held it close. Okay. On Mother's Day, I would like to wish my father for being the best parent on earth. I salute him and say it with pride that the hardworking gardener working in this school is my father. I know I may fail this test after my teacher read this, but this would be a very small price one would pay towards a note to the selfless love of my father. There was a deafening silence in the room. One could only hear soft sobbing of Gangadhas. The harsh sun could not wet his clothes with sweat, but soft words of his daughter had soaked his chest with tears. He was standing there with hands folded. He took the paper from teacher's hands, held it close to his heart, and sobbed. Principal got up, offered him a chair, glass of water, and said something. But strangely, the crispness of her voice was taken over by a surprising warmth and sweetness. Gangadhas, your daughter is given 10 by 10 marks for this essay. This is the best essay ever written about Mother's Day in the history of the school. We are having the Mother's Day Gala event tomorrow, and the entire school management has decided to invite you as the chief guest for the event. This is to honor all the love and sacrifice a man can do to raise his children, to show that you do not have to be a woman to be the perfect parent. And most importantly, this is to reinforce or appreciate or acknowledge the strong belief of your daughter in you, to make her feel proud, to make the entire school feel proud that we have the best parent on earth, as stated by your daughter. You are a true gardener who is not only looking after the gardens, but also nurturing the most precious flower of your life in such a beautiful way. So, Gangadas, will you be our chief guest for the event? Okay, this is the story. I really got touched, and even now my voice is trembling. Okay, okay. Thank you very much. See you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, sir.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. See you.